What's your testimony?
Right before I got here, I lost my house, my car. Lord, what else to do? You know, growing up in church all my life, I was told that, you know, you had to be on point at all times, and, you know, you got to fight through and you can make it, and God was still there with me.
Leandria Johnson is a genius of the human voice. I'm gonna look at one performance, and it's recorded on a phone, and it's still incredible. We can still see and hear all of these incredibly intricate moments that Leandria Johnson puts forward. So we're gonna look at this genius of the human voice so that we can really have an appreciation of the details that Leandria Johnson brings to the human voice, to singing, and to gospel.
God is so good. He's so amazing. And I'm so glad to be here to worship with y'all on tonight. And if you can you talk to just a few people and just tell them one thing that God has done for you, just real quick. Just, you know, you can get out and see if you want to. Just talk to a few people and tell them one thing that God has done for you. Just one. And by what you tell them, you know, listen to their response. It's just a few people. I'm not everybody, but just a few people here. If you're glad to be above and not beneath, you ought to give God some praise. Right there. And I just thank God, and there's just a little something. Just a little something in it. Just say, He'll take the pain away. Yes, He will. He'll take the pain away. Take the pain away.
These are his styles.
He'll take the pain away.
Leandria Johnson doesn't follow rules. She is above the rules. So many people have a problem with nasality, and if it's unintentional, that's a problem. But she utilizes it several different ways. Listen for it. She goes from, he'll take the pain. Wonderful lush tone. Has that raised larynx. He'll take the pain. Then she goes nasal. You have to practice that because the soft palate is movable. You have two sides and you have a vertical axis. If you do it with the vertical down, you sound like you're waking up after a hangover. However, and this is important, if you develop control of your soft palate, you have tons of tonal options. Listen to how she does it. It's incredible.
Yes, He will.
Oh, someone's compensating. She goes back to that lifted song. Kermit. Intentional jaw tension too there. That's a risky artistic decision to make. I mean, if you haven't flossed, you're in trouble. We could talk about the variations of the soft palate all day with her. What she does with her vowel, the brightness of the vowels, take the pain away. All of these different vowel morphing, brighter, darker, drooped soft palate, lifted soft, higher larynx. This last bit, she gives us a little bit of something delicate. That lifted larynx, that droop. Like walk away and try it a few times. So what she's doing is she's lifting her tongue, giving us that ooh vowel, and then she's giving a little nasal. Ooh. Then she chews it a little bit. And then she comes out of it gracefully because she knows how to stick the landing. I love is she did that, and then she goes right back to sounding like an angel. Same business, and she just... Come on, choir.
This is for somebody.
So good. That belt was so good. It's a combination of the belt while also using mic technique. Listen to how she hits that T. You can use consonants to adjust your vowels. You can use consonants to change your vowels. But it's tricky. What she's doing is hard. Surprise, right? Leandra Johnson doing something hard. She uses nasality to start to go up, and then the T, she doesn't hold it very long at all, because watch what happens if I hold that T. You get this pressure that builds up and your larynx goes up. If your larynx goes up, it will go up a little naturally when you sing high notes. You're not like moving it like crazy or anything like that. It moves, it needs to move, so you let it move. But by bringing that T into it, she goes from nasality, which helps her get up there, and she hangs on that T, but she does it gently. That raises her larynx, and that also lifts the side of her soft palate. Another way to feel that, inhale, but do a K. Inhale a K sound, and you'll feel your soft palate expanding. That's what she's doing, but she's using a T. He'll take. You can play around with that vowel. She's quite high up there. Listen to how she switches up the P's. Listen to that. When you say the same thing over and over again, if you don't give the word something different, it's bad. It sounds like depression. That is, incidentally, very depressing to listen to. But she's shaping the phrase, any depression away, right? She's shaping it with the consonants now. She's got tricks. We're hearing the same thing here. Now, she is also drooping her soft palate to varying degrees, but it's far more subtle this time. And that's the level of mastery that it's hard to deliberately get there. You need decades. You need to be immersed in this culture of excellence that is gospel music. Oh, there she goes. There she goes. Oh my god. Oh my god. Look at the mic technique. We'll talk about the vocal technique, but look at the right here. She crescendos by bringing the mic closer. She does that so well. Nice. Ooh. By the way, she's still in time and in key. The keyboard player can come right in. She's going to perform first. Oh, that run is so good. She's in there with the audience. She's not screaming at she's not belting at the audience. She's there with the audience. This is the humility of gospel. I have a microphone that doesn't That's a special kind of art form, and I'm going to say art form instead of specifically referencing her. Coming into the audience and bringing the audience along with you is like the mission of gospel singing. So the way that she does that so expertly can only come from years of experience.
What we were saying. There's a storm over the ocean, and it's moving this way. If your soul.
Now we get in the swing. How much it takes me to move my hips. I wish I could see her microphone speak. She's doing something there. Now she's bringing us some incredible mic technique. I mean, it's always been incredible. She's done a lot with mic technique throughout this performance, but she's switching it up dramatically for a different effect. She'll go in on the low notes and be, I'm like right up the mic and I'm kind of pursing my lips a lot. Whitney Houston This is like a thing that Whitney Houston like did so often. Now, what she's doing, and I'm sure the sound guy loves this, she's not cupping the mic. Please, 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 do not ever cup the mic. You put yourself in a situation where those lower frequencies are so dominant that no sound guy can handle it. But she's doing this. She's not cupping the mic, but her hand is right on the edge of the mic. So I got out a spectrogram here because it's subtle. It's subtle, the effects of it. So what's bumping up when I cup it in that way are the mids. It's on that lower end. Look at the volume difference. The way the spectrogram works, the brighter the color, the louder that frequency is. So we have time, frequency, and volume on that. So let's look at that. And you can kind of see, you can kind of hear it, but you can really see it. Look at that line right there. That line right there. Now I do start vibrato. That is going to inherently, pick up the mids, but I don't drop that vibrato. Way this right here. Mic's open. Right here. That's how precise this woman is. That is how next level Leandria Johnson is, okay? She's changing the dynamics of her mids by just moving her fingers. It's one thing to know that. It's one thing to practice that. It's one thing to listen for. She's not there. She is so many levels above there. She's just intuiting this. I get asked all the time, do singers really keep track of their soft palate, their larynx, and their fingers, and their mic techniques? Generally, the exceptional ones, the really good ones, starting from a young age, no. I learned this stuff because I was bad. So you can learn it, but this, oof, you can't teach this. So good. I don't understand. She's like one of the best growlers I've ever heard. It's incredible. To do it high is really hard. Really hard. The level of precision is like that. This goes back, this is so quintessential about gospel, right? You go to a concert, someone's in the audience and they're hyping up and they're making a show, right? She's not doing that. She is walking amongst the audience. You even see her come up to certain audience members, hold their hand, put her arm around. She's not going crazy, not running around the floor. Look out. Hold your hand. Walks around. So good. Everyone's good here. The bassist is incredible. Now see, I love her for this. You want to piss off a sound guy? Forget cupping the mic. Turning the mic into a tambourine is a no-no. Watch how she knows that. She physically goes to the mic. She's not hitting the mic. She's smart at that, right? love that rainbow church. Just so much going on with Leandria Johnson. There is just so much going on with Leandria Johnson. Belting is one of the most difficult things you can do. It is the leading cause of vocal injury. Second up to that is opera. One of the only reasons that belting is the leading cause of vocal injury is because usually people are not. A lot of people will try to do it because it's stylistically relevant and artistically relevant to the times, and people want to do it, but they'll do it and they don't even realize they're doing it badly. Because belting is so reliable. You're literally slamming your folds together like that, and then the belt comes out. But if you put too much air behind it, whoop, bam, now you have a vocal hemorrhage, and you don't want that. It's not intuitive, but when you belt, you actually need less air. The fact that the folds are really fat, that's going to take care of the sound. The folds are small. You're talking about the average vocal fold size when they're both put together in a woman. You're talking about the size of a dime. You're talking about all of this going against this. You don't need this. You don't, well, I mean, you need it to be careful with the amount of air, but it's surprising. A belt sounds big, it sounds epic, but it's actually quite light. There are two parts to this story. You cannot take a super big inhale. The more air you take in, the harder it is to hold it in. You're breathing in enough where your chest, your rib cage expands. You do this, and everything around is light. You cannot have a lot of tension around your rib cage because the intercostal muscles, which open your rib cage, and you can keep them contracted so your rib cage stays open. That helps with the air. The problem with that all of it, darn near every single muscle everywhere else on your torso are stronger than the intercostal muscles. If you take a big breath, now you're competing with other things, and you have more air to navigate. So it's lighter than you would imagine, but there's more. People talk about support, and they never qualify what that means. What they're talking about is a loose torso, but that rib cage is pretty expanded. So here's me with the expanded rib cage. I'm relaxing everything around my shoulders and my hips. Smaller breath. It's your way. And I want to demonstrate that sound if I have too much air behind it, but I also don't want to screw myself over. One of the ways you can learn how to do this is do that big inhale, keep your rib cage expanded, and then exhale everything. It won't actually be everything. If it were everything, your lungs would collapse. And you can't really do that to yourself. It's not something you can physically do for reasons. We don't have to talk about it here. You breathe in, you expand that rib cage, move around and exhale everything. Let that stomach kind of slowly come in. You're not pushing it in, you're not ramming it in. You're just moving around. Let that stomach kind of let it move in a little bit. Make sure everything is mobile, and then go for the belt. By doing it that way, to learn how to do it at first, you have safety rails. You are far less likely to get injured if you do that. Like when you get the basics down around the breath of belting, you can do stuff like this. Watch her lips when she goes from the belt. It's coming out. That's a big thing that Whitney did a lot. When we talk about Whitney and her lush sound, that's a big part of what she would do. One of the key elements of singing with a belt is that your larynx will rise a little bit. Very specific reason for that. A big part of a belt are these muscles called the aryepiglottic muscles. So here is your larynx. This is like your Adam's apple. Everyone has one. It's just larger with men. And here are the vocal folds right beneath these like big triangle bits, right? These are the vocal folds. Now they get super fat. They not only come together this way, they also come together this way. If we get rid of everything else here, we just have the vocal folds. We have these coming in this way and these coming in this way, super fat. And then this comes this way. And a couple theories as to why. We're not going to get into that. This is what happens to the vocal folds. These muscles here on both sides, I just wanted to get one side so we can, look at this more easily. This will contract, and by contracting, it'll bring up the larynx a little bit. These are tied to the epiglottis, so they're tied to other things. So if they contract the other insertion, I don't have the epiglottis up here, but the insertion will make it so that the larynx kind of comes up a little bit like this. That's what a contraction is of muscle, right? So when you do that, you actually get like a Fran Drescher sound. Oh my God, Mr. Sheffield. And that hates too much air. It despises it. And it also highlights frequencies that some of us would consider abrasive, right? We call that twang. It sounds twangy, which is a wonderful word to describe an aesthetic that we don't actually have words for. But we can look at a spectrogram, and we're off to the science. So there are two things to look for that make the belting challenging, right? The too much air thing. It's your way. Okay. So you see this little fuzzy here? This little like fizzy stuff right there, that's actually air leaking. Belt has a really cool way of looking on the spectrogram. You see, when you have all of these things like that, when they're all really nice and layered like that, that's what a belt looks like on a spectrogram. But the problem with my belt, because I'm an opera singer, I don't really practice belting, is that there's too much air in there. So that's why you're getting a little leaky. It's hard enough to do that. Feel like I belong. Now, yeah, this is not, I'm not a great belter. But so that's the challenge you have. You have the aryepiglottic sphincter. That has to contract to make a belt sound. Now, how do you adjust for that? We talked about mic technique and getting close to the mic. The other thing you can do is extend your vocal tract. How do you do that? That's what she was doing when she did this. Oh, when you do that, you extend your vocal tract. Look at the spectrogram again when I do that, just when I'm talking. Feel like I belong. It's hard to do it without nasalizing it. You can see right around here, this gets a little bit brighter, right? Some of this is getting brighter. It's a little hard to see here because the intensity is so bright preceding it, but this stuff is also brighter. So when I go to do a belt, I extend the vocal tract. Because it's longer, the vocal tract is literally longer, that means lower frequencies get to have more resonance. The lower the frequency, literally, the larger the waveform. You have to negotiate that. If you want to extend the vocal tract, you have this additional challenge. Next, she uses mic technique. She combines these two things with the mic right here, the aw right there, and then she brings it close for that proximity effect. For my videos on Leandria Johnson, I got a link right here. It's a giant playlist of Leandria Johnson awesomeness.